I feel like as a man or just a boy in the world, I feel like we all come to, I feel like we kind of all end up going through the same things. And I feel like, and during our journey, I feel like we kind of just have to ruin everything, destroy everything, kind of mess everything up, kind of learn what it feels like to be at the bottom with nothing. And when you're struggling the most, and then find your way to pull yourself out of that and create something out of nothing. But like the essence of kind of learning to fail, to understand like it's not really a bad thing, and at the end it kind of just helps you build yourself and become a better person in the end. And I know like during that time we kind of think like, holy shit, like my life is falling apart, this is not going good for me. You know, it could be like your girl left you, you lost your job, or you know, you have no money, or whatever the case may be. You know, maybe you have no friends or family or anything like that, and you kind of just feel super isolated, super alone. And I feel like as human beings, and of just understanding the way humans are and the way that our nature is it's kind of hard to be alone and kind of be isolated for some weird reason. Like I've been saying over and over, but I feel like every man, every boy kind of just goes through this, kind of to the point where you feel like you're losing it all. You have nothing figured out. Everything kind of just seems to be going down the gutters, and you kind of just don't know what your next move or next step is. And that's where I'm saying, like, I feel like, during that entire time and that parts of our lives, we kind of just assume it's the end of the world and there's nothing that we can do to fix it or make it any better for ourselves, or kind of feels impossible to get out of. And honestly, I feel like that's one way to look at it. But also at the same time, I feel like if you're able to sit down, reflect, and kind of understand the position you're in and not really think about it as a whole, like a whole negative thing, like entirely. I mean, realistically, we know like that type of situation doesn't always last forever. Eventually, like we kind of break through or find a way to get out of that situation. But if you're in that situation, I feel like for me personally, I feel like that is the best time to grow. You know, when you're under the most pressure and you feel like everything is falling apart, I feel like that is the best time to kind of figure out where you're at, who you are as a person, how do you get yourself out of this, and how do you keep moving forward, with a situation like that. Basically, how do you make it better? For me, it's kind of understanding like the art of the struggle, like the beauty in it, where like we always think that, oh, struggling is bad, or when sometimes maybe we have to take a step back and kind of realize like it's kind of a blessing in disguise, and just try to use and better the situation instead of always thinking, negative about it, when you can just think like, okay, I'm gonna just take this time to figure out, how I got myself here, how do I become a better man in society, or just a better man in general. It's always better to, it's always best to kind of change the narrative of things, because I feel like not only does that help you get through it, but that kind of just changes the whole, like the way that we perceive everything. Instead of sitting there complaining and whining about why are we in this situation and why is this happening to us, you can take that time, like what I said, you can better yourself, where you're able to educate yourself, you're able to keep yourself in shape, whether it's mentally or physically. You're able to take that time to grow, understand life a little bit better, understand people, understand yourself. And like I say, like I've been saying, a lot of people look at hitting rock bottom as like that's the end. Like once you're at rock bottom, there's no way up. Either that or it's hard to like get out of rock bottom, which I mean it is. It's never gonna be easy, but that's where I feel like that's the beauty in it. Where, or if you're in a bad position where you feel like you've hit rock bottom, and within a few months or however long it takes, you're able to become the best version of yourself. Basically, like no pressure, no diamonds type of thing, which means like the way I see it is like if there's no pressure in your life, how do you become something great, right? You always need pressure. I feel like the best time people grow is during precious times, when you feel like there's nothing good for you out there, that's when you're able to pull something out of nothing. And I feel like that's like the greatest thing that you can possibly do. I would be proud to be able to make something out of nothing, especially when I'm at the worst point in my life where I feel like I've hit rock bottom, and then I was finally able to get myself out of rock bottom and get myself and put myself in a better position that I've never been before. Whether I did it by myself, with the help of friends or family, just being able to tell a story like that is something that I would look forward to, instead of sitting there and kind of just being like, like, holy shit, I've hit rock bottom. Like, what, like, is this the end? Is this not the end? When in reality, you should be like, okay, I've hit rock bottom. What's my next step? How do I get out of here? What got me here? And how do I move forward from this? And I feel like personally, it's always good to kind of change the narrative and just look at things differently and from different perspectives and different viewpoints to kind of understand where everything sits and where everything is exactly. If you made it this far, comment paid actor. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear some experiences, some stories in the comments. So if you guys have any stories, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I read every single comment. I try to reply to every single one as much and to the best of my abilities. Until next time, peace.